if any of you could comment from the perspective of a scientist, if we have shown that it's not just about carbon, that other gases, when we decide we want our laundry to smell Downy Fresh, we're emitting very powerful heat-trapping gases. If that is adequately covered, or if it's open within this framework.
Dr. Bellmetter,
Yes.
you have a question if that relates to the proclamation?
I think
Is
this
it covered in the textbooks?
Yeah, it's not, and it's not, I can tell you, I testified at the Business and Commerce Committee, and they didn't know about CO2 equivalent emissions. I actually have an HVAC license, so I really know about these emissions kind of things. Fluorocarbons is way high, you know, methane and nitrous oxide. When you look at the evaluation of emissions, we need to look at CO2 equivalent emissions, not just CO2. And it really is about having a balance of things. Like somebody talked about water earlier. It's about balance, you know, and that's the thing to teach in science, is it's like there's too much or too little of anything. Water is a perfect example. So we really want to, you know, get into the whole, again, I love science and math too, like she was talking about, you know, and we need to teach about all kinds of emissions. Yeah.
Is it your testimony that we should be teaching both sides of the climate science argument, because this is where jobs of the future are and what schools need to be preparing our students for?
Yeah, it is political, I understand that, and I think it shouldn't be. Again, this is physics, you know, this doesn't work, turn that way. And we need all kinds of energy right now. So teaching about sequestration and, you know, and what is fracking and, you know, all kinds of different things that are being done in the gas and oil field, as well as in the renewables and storage. Geothermal is a perfect generation from gas and oil because it's drilling. You know, there's all kinds of different things that, not looking at it as either or, it's like I say, anything on this planet to me is God. So, you know, there is a place for it. And gas and oil, there's a place for it. And there will be for years to come. And if we want to get away from, if we want to get away from being dependent on foreign oil, we need to reduce the demand for oil and provide other sources as well, and use gas and oil where it's best used. So we need to teach about, that's really my message, is teach about all of it, because it's the future. And kids need to learn about all the jobs in all those different areas. And there's a lot of fun about it. You know, just the statistics on that graph is, you know, teaching about climate change. But it's teaching math, you know, so I just hope you don't restrict climate change, any teaching about climate change. You know, it generates the discussions.
Thank you, Ms. Meredith. I will say that the State Board of Education's role is to develop the essential knowledge and skills.
Right, TEKS.
Right. So we'll take that into consideration in terms of determining, you know, what would be essential, but I certainly wouldn't say we could teach it all.
Will you please explain what you would recommend that we teach as far as CO2 equivalency?
Yeah, I mean, really just saying that there is, it's really about not just emissions, but also the time. You know, it's kind of like the same thing with kilowatt hours. It's, you know, how much are you using, and the time as well. So it's about how bad it is, and then how much it is. Do you get what I'm saying? So doing something with that, like knowing fluorocarbons from HVAC is really high, but there's a lot less of it, and comparing that to, you know, something that is a lot less, like CO2, and comparing that to, you know, like how much of that is out there and if we reduce it. So reducing fluorocarbons is really important because it's so high per thing. You know, methane, though, is also there. You know, NOx is also there. And I don't think there's enough focus on those two because they're higher emissions than CO2. So we have to also look at, so there's a whole mathematical thing about that that's pretty interesting.
What do you think we should, what's your advice as a scientist that we should teach concerning social responsibility?
Choices have consequences, and well, actually what I would say is about a balanced energy economy, that there's nothing wrong with any of them. Whereas really it's very resource focused, you know, like in Texas we have amazing wind and solar, you know, and that's great. We also have amazing geothermal, you know, thermal sources. And so providing some way of looking at it, where you're looking at the resources in all different areas of the country and saying, here it makes sense to do this, and here it makes sense to do this, and here it makes sense to do this based on the resources. So looking at but I talk about and I'm not advertising my book, by the way. I mean, it's from 2009 and not enough has changed since then. But it's really about a balanced energy economy, not a clean energy economy, a balanced energy economy, and looking at all the resources we have on this wonderful planet and saying, where is the best place for each one of them? And how do we work together, not in an either-or mindset, but how do we work together for the health of the planet?
Okay, and I have one more question for you. Mr. Schmidt was so gracious in his testimony to explain what organizations come back. Was affiliated with. Are you affiliated with any organizations or?
I do. I actually coordinated the lobby day, Texas Lobby Day for Citizens Climate Lobby. We went to 66 meetings and brought materials to everybody because this is international. You can't put a barrier for air. We're all affecting everybody else. So we did a great job of lobbying and met a lot of great people there. So.
Okay.
CCL is the best. CCL focuses on measurable results. That's what I love. It is about reducing CO2 equivalent emissions, energy efficiency. There's a couple of things, but it is very measurable focused. It's not either or. It's bipartisan. It's not saying these are the good guys and these are the bad guys. It's saying here's what gas and oil needs to do. Here's what, we all need to look at how to reduce emissions. So if you say right now, if you look at the graph, it's way high. It could go way low too. Again, balance.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms.
But yeah.
Thank you.
I think you've testified about the harms of carbon dioxide and CFCs. Do you think our instructional materials should also include the benefits we get from CFCs or from burning carbon? Thank you, Mike.
When you say the benefits of burning carbon, is that what you said?
Yes.
The benefits of burning carbon.
For example, if I was writing a textbook, we could turn the lights off and turn off the air conditioning in here. It would be 110 degrees and we'd be
Right.
sitting in the dark. So we would not be putting out carbon, right? We wouldn't be using the CFC. Is there a benefit to turning the lights on, turning on the air conditioning?
That's not an equivalency that makes sense to me because you don't have to use those to be able to turn the lights on and cool the geothermal. Like during the Uri, there's a whole place called Whisper Valley that is totally geothermal. Their heat never went out.
So
they didn't
today,
produce any.
ERCOT says today 70% of the grid is gas and coal.
Yeah, sure.
So
And that's why I said,
if we're using electricity today,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
getting the benefits of the electricity. Is it worth including in our instructional material the benefits of everyday life, washing clothes, cooling our house, having lights? Should we talk about the benefits and then talk about the trade-offs?
I think you're collapsing two things, though. I mean, they're two separate things. The benefits of our life is we get all that stuff, yeah. But it's not presupposed. And I'm not, in my book, I do not say that gas and oil are bad. I mean, like I say, everything on this planet is good. So it's not, but what you're collapsing is that that electricity has to come from gas and oil. It doesn't. So yes, having electricity is giving us our life, in a way that, but I mean, my holy grail is energy storage, and in that, like if we had energy storage, we wouldn't have had the problem with Uri, natural gas, or renewables. So, that to me is where we really should put some focus, but that's, I mean, I'm not addressing the team, whatever the instruction, but I think we should talk about energy storage in the textbooks for sure.
And the cost of batteries?
But gas and oil,
and
I
where
mean,
the
gas and
batteries
oil,
come
I'll
from?
tell you what gas and oil is good for, energy density. It's transportable. So yeah, that's what I mean by we should talk about the good and bad of everything. And you can't transport, that's why I say energy storage is so important. You can't transport wind and solar, but you can transport gas and oil and natural gas. Natural gas is more like
Well aware.
hydrogen,
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you,
so
Mr.
it's a little
Chairman.
different.